All right, so move on to the next segment. I'll be sharing my thoughts on Dana White creating a brand new boxing league. So, the news broke out Thursday in the world of combat sports that CEO of UFC, Dana White, will be partnering up with Turki Al-Sheikh. They will be working together to create a new boxing league. Turki Al-Sheikh has signed a multi-year contract with TKO and will create a new boxing league with Dana White and WWE President Nick Khan. So this is huge for combat sports, especially in the world of boxing, with Dana White trying to get another crack at creating his own boxing league. Now lines himself up with the cash cow, the man that is behind the scenes of making all the big time fights happen in the sport of boxing, that being Turki Al-Sheikh. So this is huge news for the sport of boxing. Now, I gotta be honest, I already like the vision that Dana White has for creating his own boxing league. Now, it's gonna take some work and some time and effort to make this thing work, but I like the vision that he already has. He wants the best of the best to fight each other in the sport of boxing, and he wants boxing to get back to the glory days. Now, yes, boxing is in the better days, and we finally have eclipsed ourselves from the Floyd Mayweather days in the sport of boxing. We're getting some big time fights, but Dana White wants to get boxing back to peak levels of being in the glory days again. We're going to see if he can do that. But Dana White, I like his vision because he wants the best of the best fighting each other. He wants one belt per division. I've been saying this all along. Boxing needs one belt per division. I've said that the WBC, WBO, WBA, and the IBF should have all came together a long time ago, all the sanctioned bodies, to create one title. Because it's complicated how messy these divisions are and how many belts there are in boxing. You get a diamond belt, interim belt, WBO, World Super McDonald's belt. They got too many belts going on. And there's too many mandatories that mess up who could fight next for the titles. So having one belt per division is great. And I want to see if Dana White can work with these other promoters like Al Heyman, the PBC, Eddie Hearn, and Matchroom Boxing, Oscar De La Hoya, and Golden Boy Promotion. I want to see if he can work with the best of the best, because networking is how boxing is growing, with all these promoters working together. Yes, you can have Turki Al-Sheikh, but you got to get the big time names in. You got to bring in cash cows like Canelo, Gervonta Davis, or these things ain't going to work. You can build your own stars from the ground up, but I think he's going to have that vision of how he made the UFC, but how the foundation already is in boxing. Dana White has got to get to work immediately, and he's got the perfect dance partner in Turki Al-Sheikh, because we know that Saudi money, that oil money, Turki is just blowing millions and millions and millions of dollars to make me and several boxing fans around the world happy, and those boxers that he's paying to put the money in their pockets to make these big time fights happen. The sport is slowly rising again with the 50-50 fights. The best of the best fighting each other. Nobody's scared to lose their O. That's what boxing needs. And it lacked that when Floyd Mayweather left, because everybody wanted to be like Floyd. Everybody wanted to be the paper chaser and keep their O. Fuck keeping your O. If you ain't fighting the best of the best, what does it mean? What does it mean? Because losing your O doesn't define the fighter you are in combat sports. Your legacy is defined of who you beat, who you stepped in the ring with, and how'd you look against them, win or lose, in my opinion, and of course championships. But yes, I am glad that we are getting past that era and we're getting to new heights. And if anybody wanted to step in and make boxing great again, let Dana White do it. Dana White has shown that being the CEO of UFC, when he bought the UFC, he has made the best fight the best. No matter what your record is. You could have 3 losses. You could still be one of the greatest of all time. And when you fight the best of the best, that's what boxing needs. Now, I'm looking at what Dana White is saying. He's looking to make pay-per-view fights move quicker, and I agree with him with that. And I'll just use this as an example. When I watched that Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach fight last weekend, the flow of it, I didn't really like the flow of the night. If a card has 4 to 5 fights, it should not take 4 to 5 hours to complete the card. Get it done. Once one fight ends, get the next fight ready to go and get them ready to get to the ring. That's what he done in UFC with the pay-per-view. That's why the pay-per-views flow the way how they do. And that's why he's been successful with the UFC over the last couple of years. That's just an example. But it is going to be very interesting how Dana White develops this, because if you want, you're creating this boxing league. If he could attract the big time box office attractions to work for him and compete in this league, and is he going to be willing to work with other promoters like I just mentioned? Al Heyman, Eddie Hearn, Bob Arum, Frank Warren. There's a lot out there. And something that I'm also reading now is Dana White also wants the big time fights to happen in the States in the sport of boxing. Now, I do agree with that point, because Dana White sees that boxing is successful, the most successful in the United States. And that's no shade that the other countries out in the world. Boxing is a worldwide sport because there's so many greats that hail from different areas, different countries of the world. Now, I agree with that because, yes, boxing is popular overseas, but Turki Al-Sheikh, one thing that he has done, I will say, even though he's made the 50-50 fights, why did they all have to take place in Saudi Arabia? Turki Al-Sheikh, if you guys look at his track record so far, he's only had one event happen in the States, and that was that Terence Crawford and Islam, what was that guy's name he fought? The Islam guy that just fought Virgil Ortiz. I apologize, Islam Madrimov. When they fought in August last year, that took place in the States. Other than that, no big time fights have happened in the States. I mean, yes, you have the big fight that's taking place in May, the triple header with Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, and Teofimo Lopez in New York City, and then Canelo and Terence Crawford happening in Vegas. That's still only three big fight cards that happen in the States, and the rest of them have to take place over in Saudi Arabia. Let's be fair here, Turkey. You can't have it all. So I agree with Dana White trying to make the big time fights happen in the United States. Now, I do want to see what media rights they secure, what media rights Dana and Turkey secure, because I know Dana White has tried this before, making a boxing league, and it did not work. He failed at it. But now he has some credible sources with him. He has Turki Al-Sheikh and, again, the WWE president, Nick Khan, by his side. So he's got some really aggressive businessmen working with him that have done their work to be the great businessmen that they are today. But with the help of Turkey and Nick Khan helping the WWE be more popular than ever, I think the sky's the limit, and they will find a media rights deal very quickly. Now, how fast this boxing league gets developed and how fast we see it, time will tell. Maybe it might take 6 to 8 months before, or even longer, before we see this thing finally take place. But I will say this. If Dana White, when he bought the UFC, built it from the ground up, got the media rights deals, they were fighting on television at one point, then he turned the UFC to a global phenomenon. The best place to watch mixed martial arts in the world. I gotta say, with the resources, and if he could bring in some cash cows, this league could possibly work. Now, if Dana White don't pay his fighters, then we got a problem, because you can't be cheap the way you pay these UFC fighters. Boxers want the millions. You got to give them the millions to get in the ring with you. But we're going to see how this works out. But one more thing I'm going to throw in there. I also have been following the comments that Turki Al-Sheikh has been saying also about boxing and these other promoters that he's worked with. That being Eddie Hearns. That being Oscar De La Hoya. That being Frank Warren. He has thrown some shade at these promoters. And I also saw in the press conference Thursday, the press conference that took place in New York City, with Canelo Alvarez and William Skull promoting their undisputed fight for Cinco de Mayo weekend, I saw that Turki Al-Sheikh had this purple belt. I don't know if that's going to be the boxing league's championship belt that him and Dana are going to have, but I saw the purple belt alongside with him holding the Ring Magazine belt. And when the cameraman were about to show the WBC title and the other titles, Turki said, cut it. We're not promoting that. Don't promote that shit. He said only that purple belt, which needs a better design, and the Ring Magazine belt only promoted for this undisputed title fight. So I think we're going to see a vision of what happens next because Canelo is already signed with Turkey. And if Canelo is successful against William Skull, is he going to hoist all those titles when he becomes undisputed for the second time in his career? Time's going to tell. We're going to see how this all plays out very soon. But Dana White coming to the boxing league, making his own boxing league, let's shake it up. Let's make the sport of boxing great again. So those are my thoughts on Turki Al Sheikh and Dana White coming together to create a new boxing league.